Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Friday night. It's about 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, and I wanted to drop this recording. I was going to wait till tomorrow, but again, like I always tell you guys, I like to drop it when it's fresh in my spirit. When I just got finished speaking to someone, and it's like just still in my spirit, I like to release it. So yeah, I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. All right, so I'm going to jump right in. So the topic I want to talk about is when God will not allow you to release a person yet, right? I know I've been talking a lot about boundaries and about cutting people off, which it needs to be a lot of that, but not for everybody. But there's also individuals who are literally your assignment. And no matter how hard that thing gets, you don't have the permission to release them just yet. God is literally using you as a vessel to help heal this person, help transform this person, whatever the assignment may be. And it may feel like torture to you. You're going to want to give up all that stuff, but you just don't have the okay from God yet. You got the okay from your flesh. Your flesh is like, girl, boy, bye, right? But every time you try, you get convicted. All right, so it started out with someone had emailed me a couple of days ago, and basically she met this guy, right? And the guy had been very, very upfront about being very, very hurt in his prior relationship. And again, we know when people are hurt from prior relationships, I mean, especially men, especially men, especially men. That hurt runs way deeper. I mean, women, we hurt. I mean, let's keep it real. We get hurt, we cry, we go through our little time, right? But we'll love again. We might be, side-eyeing them for a minute just to be sure, right? But we'll love again. And not to say that men won't love again. I'm just saying that's a different kind of hurt, right? Because they don't really, So she really feels this is the guy that God has for her. She really believes she's heard from God, that this is the man, her kingdom partner, kingdom spouse. But he froze. He froze when those feelings started to kind of get, at the beginning, you can kind of like play it like, all right. But then them feelings start creeping up on you. And so he froze on her. But he was real with her, right? And had that conversation with her, like, listen, this thing here getting a little too, I just rather back up because I can't go there again. And she is on the edge of her seat, and she's hurt. She's frustrated. She don't understand it. Her flesh is telling her to walk away and just go on with her life. But her spirit is telling her she can't. So so emailing her back on yesterday and just having a conversation with someone who I was talking to tonight, it just had me really wanted to give my opinion in a few I don't know, a few words. Guys, it's late. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. All right. So, of course, a lot of my recordings lately have been about healing, about cutting people off before, destiny, about boundaries and all that stuff. A lot of my recordings have been about that in the last 6 months. Excuse me, because that's where I am personally in my life currently. However, seasons prior to this was the complete opposite. I've had, listen, I had so many assignments. Now, I have to be honest, some of them I picked up on my own, right? Because our flesh can pick up an assignment now, and it's not even a spiritual assignment. And now we're trying to figure out why we all stressed out, because we don't have the grace to cover us with these stuff we done picked up. But I know for a fact a lot of them had been God-given assignments, but each assignment is different. And if you guys hadn't seen my recording on with my client Jennifer, a lot of you guys saw that video. Who was the stroke survivor. that was one of the many assignments I wanted to walk away from. That's how difficult they got. My flesh was all the way out the door, but the spirit said I couldn't, right? So I say all this to say to those of you who didn't see that recording or know any of my other assignments, some, personal, some public, whatever. Most of them are on YouTube, so I guess it's open to the public. But there are times when you're going to have to sacrifice self if it's a God-given assignment. So to talk about Jennifer really quickly before I get into like a romantic relationship. Okay, with Jennifer had a stroke at 30 years old. She was hurt. She felt like life had went on. She went through a divorce. Her ex-husband got the son. She felt like her siblings had went on, and here she was disabled at 30 years old. That's hurt. That's pain. So I say all this to say that sometimes when you meet people who got a lot of pain, it doesn't matter the kind of pain. It could be pain from them going through a bad divorce, a heartbreak, whatever. Pain is pain. Different pain, same feeling. So sometimes what will happen is people will try to run you away, which of course she done that to her entire family. I mean, there's nobody. She ran everybody off, but she couldn't run me off because I was standing in grace. So this is why I try to help her to understand it's important to forgive your family and forgive people, because people who don't have grace can't stand and weather storms like people who have the grace for the specific assignment. But through love, through sacrifice, through literally sacrificing self, and just keep loving and loving and loving and pouring into, even when I felt like it was never getting anywhere in the flesh, but I knew in the spirit what my assignment was. I knew what God was downloading to me every single day. There were times where my flesh wanted to rise up and I had to sacrifice. Not for me, but for the assignment. And here we are 4 years later with her, and that's just one of my patients. I have a book. This is no plug because I don't even care if you buy it. I don't even advertise the book like that. But I have a book literally on all of my assignments, on how I had to sacrifice myself and my life a lot of times in order to complete my assignments. And each single time, the rewards that follow were mind-blowing. See, people only see they just think you're just this and you're that, but they don't know. They don't know what the chosen one has to go through and the things we have to sacrifice. So let's take this young lady, for example, in the situation I told you about with the guy. Here's what I was telling her. Okay. First and foremost, anything that God has for you, right? A person, place, thing, whatever. Usually it's going to be warfare before it's released. I even venture to say all times, at least for myself, before blessings, major blessings especially, are released, is usually going to be major warfare prior to attaining it. So you said, not you, you said this man, without a doubt, through prayer, fasting, and everything else, God have been clear to you that this man is your husband. So you think Satan is just going to make it all roses and dandy for you? Do you think Satan is not going to try to throw warfare of any sorts to keep you from your quote unquote husband? This warfare can come in many forms. This warfare can not only come in him backing away because he's catching feelings, it can also come in the form of another woman who he might be more fleshly attractive to, right? Fleshly. But see, she can't tap into his spirit like you. See, you're scaring him because you're tapping into his spirit. You're getting deeper. That's scary. But when it's just surface and it's looks and let it be just sex or flesh or whatever else they got going on, that's not scary for a man. But because you're spiritually aligned and because he's your assignment, you're tapping into a place that's scary for him. And so Satan's going to come right on in and start putting things in his mind. Well, you remember when you got hurt last time? You remember that lady took all your money and left you? You remember she took your money and ran off with your best friend? She ran off with your brother. Remember when you was in that room for 4 months just hitting the vodka? Literally allowing him to think about that hurt and that pain so he can stay away from you. Warfare comes in all forms. What do? Do you just give up because you're tired? You're tired. You're tired. It's 3 months of him calling. Some nights he call, some days he call. He calls for a whole week, disappear for 3 weeks, all the back and forth. I get it. Been there, done that. I get it. But see, this is where you gotta, like I told you in that email, if you're listening today, when you have spiritual assignments, I don't care what kind of, a romantic, whatever. When you have assignments, you cannot be led by the flesh. It is absolutely impossible. You will be somewhere in the nut house. And you cannot be led by the flesh or emotions. It's easier said than done. I mean, emotions are going to get in the mix. We're females, or we're emotional beings. But when you feel like flesh is getting too involved, you got to fast, you got to pray, you got to do whatever to connect to the spirit the way you connect to the spirit. Because instantly you'll start getting downloads if you're properly aligned. The spirit will start telling you stuff. Okay, so I've been in a situation like yours. No time soon, but I've been there. I know what you're talking about. But see, when I connect to the spirit, I didn't care about, in the physical, he's running. Because the spirit had already told me he would run. The spirit had already told me when he run, let him run. Because he can't run but so far. He got to come back. He will come back. So you got to connect to the spirit. And you got the one thing that you're going to have to really, really do, because you're so antsy and frantic, like, if he disappears for 3 days, even though he's running, there's a possibility that he will meet someone in those 3 days. Honey, let me tell you something. Anything and anyone that God has for you is for you. It can be 25 bad chicks that come across his doorstep. Let him do what he do. That's flesh. That ain't gonna last. Never compare your spiritual self to a fleshly being. I don't care if that chick looks 35,000 times better than you, so you think, right? But your mindset should be telling you completely different. So it doesn't matter what the person looks like. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter when you're tapped into your spirit. When God has given you a download and you know what it is, you know what God has given you, nothing in the flesh can move you. You look at it and laugh and be like, you know what? Do what you do. Go ahead, bump your head a few times. You'll be back. And no, I'm not going to play tit for tat. You go do your thing. I'm going to sit right here and keep growing and keep focusing on God's will, God's purpose. Because see, the tit for tat is another form of games that Satan plays. Because your flesh want to say, listen, you disappeared for a week and somebody done called me and told me they saw you X, Y, and Z. All right. So let me go ahead and answer this phone call from my ex. Let me go ahead and get dressed and hang out with my girls. And because all these be trying to holler anyway. So I'm going to just go ahead and don't play them games. Please don't play those games. Not in the spiritual. The flesh, I get it. Trust me. I'm that chick. In the flesh, you ain't about to listen. right? You're not about to play with me all kind of way, because I'm going to show you what it really is. That's flesh. Spirit will tell you sacrifice. You sit home. You don't play tit for tat, because when you play tit for tat, you're now giving Satan room to come in to create more warfare. And literally, this person is designed to be your kingdom partner, which will create way more blessings and way more abundance for other people, not just you and your family, for the world. However, God will use you two together. And now you're about to jeopardize that, because flesh want to do tit for tat. Flesh want to feel like, oh, he's running, and so I'm going to just go and, no. You got work to do. You got work to do. Now, granted, no, you just don't sit home and watch walls. Go out, hang out with your friends. Do what you do. I'm just saying, don't bring nobody else up in that mix when you already know what's going on anyway. So you already got some spiritual stuff going. Why even bring another person in that? Even if he does it, right? Well, he's hurt. He's operating from a seed of hurt, pain. He's afraid. So there's a good chance that, yes, flesh will be involved. But you're not operating from that place. You're operating from the place of being healed and whole. So you should be able to look from the outside and realize the only way this person is acting this way is because they're hurt, because they're afraid. So what do? Pray for them. Ask God to keep them covered, grace, mercy, all that stuff. Pray behind the scenes. But sacrifice. God will literally use you to love people back to health if you're willing to sacrifice. The same way God have used me in so many scenarios, just not my career, to love people back to health. God have used people to love me, like especially in this season, in this last 2 years. Some complete stranger. God will use people to love on you when you're running. These people will let you run, but still love you and still be there when you come back. Speaking of that, if he's running, like you said, be very, very careful not to chase him, because you can chase somebody off. So it's almost like the flesh feels like, oh, well, if I run behind him, if he disappears and now I blow his phone up and I just pop up to his house. Please don't do that, sis. Don't do that, because he might run off to Mars and never... He might run off to Mars and never come back, because now he's really afraid. Anything that God has for you is... I scared my dog. I'm sorry. Anything that God... I'm sorry, baby. Anything that God has for you is for you. You don't have to run behind it. Flesh will tell you to run, because flesh is going to make you think like you're going to lose it. Honey, it ain't going nowhere. And if it does, it's temporary. It's temporary. It's temporary. We have to worry when we choose, because we gotta maintain, right? When we choose. So yeah, so don't run behind them. I know you want to. Don't run behind them. You got work to do. Ask God what you should be doing. I guarantee you, God will give you a whole list. If you ain't got nothing to do, the one thing you can do is pray for him. Pray for him. Pray for your sanity. You should be fasting, so God will give you certain downloads and all that stuff like that. Just know that even if some physical stuff come involved on the other side, know that that's temporary. Know that you can't play tit for tat, because you are creating more and more space for the warfare to keep you guys apart. Warfare comes in different forms. So do not play tit for tat. Understand that he's hurt. He's hurt. He's operating from a seat of brokenness. You're tapping into his spirit, into his soul. So a lot of times that happens. They'll run to all flesh, meaning they're, and guys, if some of you are listening, I'm not saying this is all men. Please don't email me. I love you guys. Don't email me. So a lot of times what will happen is it will be all flesh. a chick who is bad, body bad, looks bad, all that, but they ain't got bird brains. Ain't got bird brains, no intelligence, no nothing. Because she can't tap. She's not tapping into anything. So they can be in the hotel 7 nights a week. She's not tapping into anything. He's tapping into, But listen, that's going to wear off real quick. And when he lay his head on that pillow, after that done got tired, and he lay his head on his pillow, and he realized that this physical can't nurture that wound, he'll be back. And when you come back, don't throw in his face. Oh, well, you want. No. Welcome him back with open arms. And don't worry about the flesh. I mean, you shouldn't be doing nothing in the flesh with him anyway. So I know what some chicks saying, well, no, if you go with that girl, well, you don't. That's why you don't do nothing when you have assignments. If you're on assignments, this is why. When you're on assignments, this is why. You cannot let flesh and spirit mix. That's the worst thing you can do. So anyway, I wanted to share, and if there is another chick involved, listen, pray for that chick. Pray for your sister, because guess what? When he walked away from her after he done, a few times, then what? Another broken sister who's dealing with hurt, pain, and traumatic events. So pray for your sister too. Right? That's when you operate in the spirit. When you can pray for some things that your flesh will like, and it's not about you, it's not about us, actually. It's not about us. It's not about us. It's not about us. So listen, it's almost midnight. You guys have a great night. It's your girl.